I'm absolutely shagged. I've been to Birmingham and London and back, and the beginning of this film begins at the beginning of the day before the Birmingham and the London and the back. Now, what I was hoping to do was, is it here? Yeah. I was hoping to film a really kind of sexy opening sequence with this amazing lens that I never use for this vlog. But it's just been so crazy busy that I haven't been able to. And as you'll see, it's a bit of a different vlog, this one. So basically, I scripted up the whole section, and I didn't film that because it's just been so crazy. So what I'm going to do is going to read you the script, and then we'll run the film. So here we go. Sorry, I'm absolutely exhausted. Sometimes when I stop looking and actually start seeing, I am baffled by the vision of modern life. Screen after screen after screen. Everyone looking but not seeing. I'm wondering what effect on humanity this generation, and maybe the generation beneath me, will have on the future if we never ever contemplate or reflect. What legacy will that generation leave, where actions are not contemplated and are merely reactions, where reactions are not what we think, they're merely what we feel, and where our actions are never reflected upon, never learned from, where we escape from escaping. So I thought I'd throw this question back to you because it's a big one, and I don't have an answer other than I think Alfred Tennyson's poems would have been really shit if he hadn't stared into those lakes for as long as he did. So I thought I'd mark this question with a video that is the antithesis of what YouTube and our screens are meant to deliver us. I understand that this video will receive the biggest numbers of thumbs down, the least number of views, and a bunch of you will unsubscribe. But this is, by design, the video doing its job. And why today of all days, and the reason why, well, it's 11:40, and the reason why, instead of shooting maybe a nice intro sequence up there tomorrow, it's important that I get this finished by midnight, because it's the summer solstice, the longest day. And it's also, approaching 10,000 users. When asked what was my kind of aim for subscribers for this channel, I said 2,000, so 10,000 is amazing. So basically, for the 10,000th person, the celebration of that, I'm going to run a competition in thanks for your support. And basically all I need you to do is, in the comments below, is I need you to put the first letter. I need two letters. The first letter to be what you think the first letter of the Christian name of the 10,000th subscriber is going to be. And in the second letter, it's contained within this video, and it is the first letter of the sound I say after the second K. I think that's right, yes. Anyway, so it's solstice. It's summer solstice, and let's rewind you back to the beginning of my day, and it's 4:02 in the morning, and this is how light it is already. So anyway, I'm just going to get cracking. If you want to come to Edinburgh and do this walk, because this, in my opinion, is the best walk you could take on Arthur's Seat, and it's taken me 2 years to figure it out. What you need to do is start here in the Duddingston Lock car park. The lock, you probably can't see it, is over there. We're not going to go towards the lock, we're going to go instead up towards Crow Hill. So I'm going to turn this camera away from me so you don't have to put up with my ugly mug, screen in, and basically we're walking along this kind of upper road which goes with the flow of traffic, and then I'll guide you through the best walk you can have in Holyrood Park. My dog Oscar, Blue Roan Terrier, nice view already of the kind of corner of the North Sea, beautiful cloudburst there. So this will have three parts. You'll see in a minute there's a rock that we're walking up towards, and we'll be able to watch the sunrise there on the longest day in 2018, and then there's this amazing operatic reveal, and then have a cup of coffee at the top of
Crow Hill and come back should last about an hour and 15 minutes. So bookmark this for when you're next at the gym, cooped up in the gym, or indeed, look, little rabbit over there, or indeed just turn the sound off and have it as a bit of relaxation and reflection for yourself, maybe during your lunch break. Look at that, gorgeous. Okay, so basically there's a seat there, nice view, and then there's a bin, and then just before the road turns, I'll impose a map onto this. There's this little underworn path. I took a very dear friend of mine who's also very well known on this walk recently, and I picked it because there's not that many civilians, not many people know that it's here. He's currently on a massive tour, so shout outs to you, G, and if you're stuck on a tour bus, here's me doing our walk again with a beautiful sunrise to boot. It's pretty windy today, so I'm going to have to HPF the fuck out of this. Right, if I start breathing heavily and you don't understand why, is cameras don't tend to explain gradient that well, and this is really quite steep, this bit, the steepest bit of the walk. I'm a big fan of the win-win kind of philosophy to life, and whilst I love walking, giving yourself the motivation to do this every day is quite difficult. So for me, it's a triple win. One, I have to take this very energetic blue roan cocker spaniel for a walk. He's the main motivation, basic kind of animal cruelty, and as I say, it's getting really steep. The second is for my health, and third, I get to make vlogs up here. So it's a triple win for me, and why I manage to do this absolutely every day when I'm at home. Right, there is actually an amazing view around us, but I'm going to give us one of the first of our reveals momentarily. So basically, we're heading for that little rock there for the first bit. Maybe it's a little early for sunrise because that's coming up at 4:20 today. It's always nice to throw a failure video into the mix. I did one with a Japanese travelogue about a year ago, kind of knowing that it was going to be unsuccessful, but it's nice to put one in with that intention as opposed to creating a video with loads of effort and it having a disappointing viewership. Right, I'm going to shut up now because I'm really out of breath. Right, here's this beautiful rock. I do a lot of vlogs from this point, looking out to the pendant hills, but it really is quite spectacular. Down to Duddingston Lock. This is where they codified curling. So yes, this is a very nerdy episode. Beautiful bird sanctuary around there. Bearing in mind we're in the centre of Edinburgh, it's pretty impressive. Down here is Dr. Neil's garden, where I did that vlog about the eye control. Duddingston Kirk, Duddingston Village, a beautiful little village. It's nice to visit from time to time. And then, look at that. I'll take you through the kind of seascape in a minute when we get up to the very top, but that's basically looking out to the North Sea. I do love this rock. There's something really kind of quite beautiful and reflective about it. But on a kind of sadder note, it is such a popular little kind of spot, and people do really have a love affair with Arthur's Seat and Holyrood Park, that this is a fave spot for the sprinkling of ashes. So often when I'm doing a little read to camera, I will, out of respect, have to reposition myself so I'm not sitting basically on someone. God bless them. Right. Good thing about this walk is there's very few kind of options to get it wrong. There's just a couple of turns where the kind of path presents options. So let's walk up through the gorse. Now the gorse is these kind of ferns. They're quite sharp, spiky, with this yellow flower that is fading. There's a wonderful moment you may have seen on the vlogs in spring when it is literally blindingly yellow, and the extraordinary thing is it smells like a combination of coconut and vanilla. It's really quite profound when you're walking through these routes that basically Arthur's Seat smells of coconuts. Right, it's getting a bit overgrown this time of year, and as you'll see, we're actually currently walking on a cliff edge. However, it's less hazardous because it's covered in gorse, so if you were to fall off, you wouldn't die, but it would be pretty painful. So yeah, if we'll have a look here, you can see we're really on the cliff edge. No sign of the sun yet. You really notice in Scotland the changing seasons just from the length of day, because as I say, sun sets about 10:30, gets dark just around midnight, and it starts getting light at about 2. So there's 2 hours of proper darkness this time of year, and then you flip over to this time in 6 months' time, exactly 6 months' time, and is that right? Yeah, and the reverse is true. You only get 3 or 4 hours of true daylight a day. The rest is kind of dusk and dawn. So you can see all the gorse there. It covers entire swathes of Arthur's Seat. And this itself, what we're walking on, is an extinct volcano. It died about 330 million years ago. There's something incredibly romantic about those violent forces of nature creating something that is, for me anyway, my favourite place on the planet. Okay, so first choice, this route or this route, they both lead to the same place. This route is the spiky route, this route is the not so spiky, so let's go the spiky route. I don't usually actually go this route, it's really overgrown. But I'll do anything for the vlog. Maybe it's a bad idea, it's completely overgrown. This is this voracious plant, these guys. It's called a stormweed, I believe. Not indigenous to these shores, they're from Canada. You can see why it gets spiky here. So basically that's my head height. Oh my lord, this is really itchy. Ow. Oh. See kind of Edinburgh there. That's the Pentland Golf Club down there. Right, for you who are thinking about switching off shortly, it may be worth sticking around, because I'm going to drop an Easter egg that will be something that will help you potentially win a competition I'm going to do regarding my 10,000th viewer. I'm so utterly honoured to have received this many subscriptions. When asked what my aim was when launching this channel, I said to get 2,000 subscribers would be amazing. Right, there's a path up there, which is the path up to the top of Crow Hill. That's the short route, but we're taking the biblical route. And the way I describe it to my wife is basically between a bunch of gorse and the Omar bush, go straight down the middle. And I call it the Omar bush because it looks like that jazz funker Omar. There's nothing like this. Right, we find this amazing little path, and this is a route that I've really never seen anyone else on. It's clear that other people take it because it's quite well trodden, but certainly you never get tourists down here. Right, little gorse maze. Beautiful view of the golf course there. You'd be delighted to hear that Oscar has already done his morning poo, so you're not going to have to witness that unless he does a shat trick. I'm currently preparing a vlog on why you shouldn't listen to everything, or anything even, that I say on this vlog. But the reason I'm very evangelical about getting away from the computer is my creativity and problem solving has improved immeasurably as a consequence of these walks. And I don't know if it's the action of walking, I think it's what we're kind of designed to do, and the inspiration that you get from a wonderful place like this, or the kind of endorphins and the mental reactions that you get to this kind of exercise. I believe it's one of the best kind of exercises you can do, really, again, because I think it's kind of what we're designed for. Bit of a tricky moment. Overgrown rather, little mini valley. Right. Definitely starting to get lighter, so hopefully the picture quality will improve too. Right, so we're approaching our next kind of stop in about 5 minutes, and this is just a monster operatic reveal where you can kind of see the forces of nature that created this wonderful thing in the middle of Edinburgh. And now we're looking out into kind of residential part of Edinburgh, and then over to this way is what's referred to as Newtown, which is like kind of downtown, and we'll be able to see the castle in a minute. You can see kind of down there's a dome, that's Usher Hall, which is a fantastic classical venue, largely. Okay, there's one kind of climby bit in a minute. Fantastic Commonwealth pools. I take my kids swimming. Okay, so this is quite a steep descent. He's enjoying it. Best dog in the world. Big flirt. So when I started thinking about doing this vlog, this is actually my original concept. I was basically going to go on a walk every single day, pretty much the same walk every day, and I was just going to vlog it in real time, and in the hope that people who are stuck in inner cities, or London, my old haunt, would take it to the gym. It was a flawed idea, as we're finding out now. Okay, this is a cool bit. This is like a gorse cave that I found. Check that out. Kids love it because it's kind of scary. Okay, so this is the trickiest bit. It's one where you have to use your hands and your feet. Okay, so not far away from our biblical reveal. So if you've synced up that piece of music, you probably won't hear me anyway, but for those of you who have, I imagine there'll be a climax coming up around about now. There's the castle. Oh yeah. So, Penton Hills, Murrayfield Stadium over there. Then we've got the beautiful Edinburgh Castle that sits on the mount. They just completed the stadium in front of it. You probably can't hear me because it's so windy. And these things are the Salisbury Crags. So, Castle Crags. And so there's lots of selfie injuries that happen there every year, or deaths rather. People taking selfies and getting blown off. Right, so instead of going that way, which is death because it's a cliff, we're just going to take a sharp right and head up the hill. That's the point where it gets a little bit touristy. And then instead of going to the top of Arthur's Seat, we'll go to the top of Crow Hill, which I prefer the view up there. So there's a little pathway up here. We'll take that. Where's the door? Woskia! Woskia! I don't know if you've clocked, but basically I created a kind of Russian-Japanese hybrid language for Oscar when he was a little pup. And now it's the only thing he responds to. So when I'm on top of this massive tourist destination, I have to become this Russian sumo wrestler. Wusky Moskia! Wusky! That's it, boy. You see? It works. It's kind of embarrassing though. Okay, so this is the steepest bit. Now we're on the side of the hill to where the sun is. So when we get up to the top, it should be above the horizon. Oh God, have I taken the really steep route? I think I have. Oh, let's go this way. Whiskey. Properly out of breath now. It's like you, mate, with your tongue out. So that's actually Arthur's Seat from a weird angle. You can see the nav stone at the top there. Pretty special, eh? Okay. Right. Around the side, it's more of a kind of purpose-built pathway, which is incredibly popular during the day for tourists. But I'm surprised that few people are out for the sunrise, usually a few on the top of the seat. The last guy doesn't know where he's going today. This isn't our usual morning walk, this is a special occasions walk. So we bought a lovely place in a place called Stockbridge, which is kind of in that direction. And I was always fascinated by this big old rock sticking out in the middle of Edinburgh, particularly when I flew over. And when we first moved in, there was a real health drive. We were going to get a cross trainer and a step machine, until I took my first walk up here. Runny rabbit, and realised no need for a cross trainer or a step machine. You've got the real thing here, and it's one of the reasons why I'm totally in love with Edinburgh. For a tiny city of just 500,000 people, it really has got everything going for it, because it has the feel of a capital city. It is a centre of cultural excellence, the biggest fringe festival in the world, massive arts festival, film festival, TV festival. So you get a big influx of people, so the infrastructure is kind of almost over-specced. I do love that. There's got some quite good eating to be had down there. So whilst it has all the attractions of a small town, you get from one side to the other without too much traffic, etc, etc. And walk around the whole thing in less than a day, a couple of hours really. You also have tons of capital-y city stuff, big theatres like the Playhouse, Usher Hall, loads of restaurants and stuff. And as an Englishman, I feel very welcome here, which is it's not like the Scots don't like us. There just is a bit of north-south rivalry, and certainly when you're in Glasgow, you get a sense that it's very much a different culture, a different dialect, and whilst they're very friendly, you still feel very much like an alien. Whereas in Edinburgh, kind of every third accent is an English one. It's one of the biggest financial centres outside London, if not the. Okay, so we're nearly there. Mini descent down, and then a little rock climb up to Crow Hill. Oh yeah, just above the sea there. Beautiful. And astonishingly, no one's up. Right, Crow Hill's over there. That's Arthur's Seat. I don't tend to go up there because one, the view isn't as good, and two, it's just full of tourists. And it's not the tourists I mind, it's just people listening to music on their phones. And I'm definitely part of the breakbox generation, so I don't mind a bit of unsolicited music, but I like it to have a bit of bottom. So, right, Crow Hill, let's disturb the crows. So that's about 900 feet up, just shy of the top of the Shard, basically. But where we started was already quite high above sea level, so we've not climbed that totally. How are we doing? 4,000 steps. So I've got a bit of a cold, sorry for my snorting. So that bit with the Omar bush is actually down there. We're just going to head up here. The other reason I love Crow Hill is there's something that to me is just kind of very volcanic. It could be on any volcano in the world, but there's just something very kind of Celtic, Gallic about not Gallic, Celtic, yeah, about this these rock formations. They remind me of Giant's Causeway. So I wouldn't call this a climb, it's more of a clamber. See all this, I'm gonna have to shout, it's really windy. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's something that I've learned to recognise. These are the human ashes. It's a really popular point for sprinkling ashes, and I completely understand why. I think I'd want mine sprinkled here. But it is kind of, it's not a morbid reminder, it's just one of the reasons I appreciate these walks is because it does reconnect you with what we're kind of designed to do as humans, which is have a little wonder and connect with our environment. There's no crows here this morning, they're all lazy bastards, but sometimes when I'm up on the top of Crow Hill, just finding a slightly more sheltered spot for coffee. But sometimes when I'm up here, there's crows circling the hill, and it makes me consider, you know, when was this hill given its title? There's something kind of profoundly wonderful. It connects you with the continuum. It's a reminder where these crows are kind of circling. They're part of the continuum. They're, you know, how old do crows live till, you know. They're part of generation after generation of crows who have circled and have been kind of observed by our brothers and sisters who have been walking up here for centuries. So eventually the hill gets its name, and it just, I don't know, I feel a connection with the continuum. Facing a lot of depressing stuff at the moment, so this is something I'm thinking about a lot. I'm going to shut up now because I know that the wind is basically blowing my voice away from the microphone. It really is quite blustery up here, but cheers. get down because this is super windy and probably a bit boring. So, as we descend, the wind will ease up. So basically, that's the North Sea, and then this is the Firth of Forth, Forth of Firth. I always get that the wrong way. That's Firth over there, I think. Fife over there. So it's the Firth of Forth with Fife over there. The only thing that Arthur's Seat is obscuring is the Forth Bridge, the Forth Rail Bridge, which is that amazing red Isambard Kingdom Brunel. I think it's him anyway, it's certainly Victorian bridge. But it's quite distant anyway, so I don't really miss that. So anyway, as I was saying, this crow thing, you know, I think 46 years old, you face mortality with parents being poorly and that kind of stuff. And I think one of the many reasons we don't reflect these days is because when offered the opportunity to escape, we choose that. And I think one of the amazing things about I just take a little turn down here, it really will get more peaceful here. So yes, when you get to this age and you decide to kind of walk on these wondrous volcanic outcrops, whatever they're called, lumps, it does force you to contemplate and reflect. And I think something that's really helped me with stuff that my family faces at the moment is, you know, looking at these crows flying around and understanding that my children will take their children and they will observe the crows, many generations of crows within my children's lifetime, and their grandchildren and their grandchildren's children. And for me, being an atheist, where I find comfort in this crazy kind of life we live is in the concept of Gaia. I do believe that concept by a guy called James Lovelock, that the earth is a living and breathing organism, and we have to kind of listen to its signals, because if we don't, it'll kick us off. But it is an organism that's part of this grand structure called the universe. And I was watching a film the other day and it was really unexpected, because it's a bit of a shit film. It's called Houseboat with Cary Grant. But there's just this wonderful moment where a kid's kind of talking about death, and they're sitting by the river drinking a glass of water, and Cary Grant spills the water and says, "Have you lost that water?" And he goes, "Yes, it's not in my glass anymore." I am paraphrasing, by the way. And he goes, "Well, no, because see what the water's doing? It's spilling off the edge of the pier back into the river. So where's that water gone? Well, it's replenishing the river. And even if it didn't find its way to the river, what would happen?" And the kid replies, "Well, it would evaporate into the air and then fall as condensation or rain. And for me, it was just like, that's it, you've got it. There is one universal law, and that is that energy cannot be done away with. It can't be killed. It's perpetual, and it's just transferred from one state to another. So coming up here, mornings like this, it's profound and it's very helpful, and I think it's why, for me, I'm so evangelical about us getting away from our computers, because I just don't believe you can write the best kind of meaningful music if you're not connected to the truth. And the truth is, we all end up back in there. We all end up dribbling off the pier and replenishing the organism that is Gaia, that is Earth. Anyway, that's enough deepness for now. So, wonderful morning. Something about living close to the east coast, which I've always done, whether it be down in London or in Scotland, is that it's an island temperament. So it means it's very changeable, particularly in Edinburgh. You can be wearing your t-shirt with sausages on the barbecue in the morning, and it can literally be snowing in the afternoon. But for some reason, on the east coast, most mornings are clear. So a little tip, if you're thinking of moving to the UK and you're going to be easterly, it can be a little bit more rainy on the other coast. But if you're going to be on the east side of the UK, it's get up nice and early, and you will see a bit of sunshine most mornings. So, and if you're not particularly fit, that's where we started, Duddingston Lock car park. It's not Duddingston, sorry, it's Dunsapie Lock. It's Dunsapie Lock car park, and this route up to the top of Arthur's Seat is the easiest if you're not feeling that fit or don't have as much time. So this has actually been quicker. I usually take a little bit longer to have coffee, but it was really kind of unpleasantly windy up there today, so I've spared you that agony of listening to me sip and slurp my coffee. Right. So that's 5,000 steps. I tend to try and get 10,000 done in the morning. So what I usually do actually is walk from my children's school to Holyrood Park, do a circuit of Holyrood Park, and then walk back to Stockbridge. And that gets my kind of 10k a day, which is my aim. Not 10,000 steps, but 10k clicks. Anyway, for those of you who've lasted the distance, thanks as always. There is a little Easter egg that I've dropped in there, so if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe, because there's going to be quite an exciting little competition that I'm going to announce over the next vlog or two, that's going to celebrate my 10,000th subscriber. Beautiful bit of sunburst there just coming over the top, a fitting end to our walk. So that's where we started. I think I may have said Duddingston Lock car park. It's actually Dunsapie Lock. So you can get a taxi up here or walk up here. It's a familiar location, but just to warn you that this road is closed on Sundays for traffic. So it's been a wonderful walk, and I hope offers at least a minor kind of inspiration for you to get away from that computer and to get out there and connect with nature, connect with Gaia, connect with the truth. I'm not a hippie, I promise. However, there is one last thing I want to show you, but that has to come later, because if you come in the evening time on this walk, there's another little special secret that I want to show you. A very, very good one I think you're going to like a lot. You may notice I'm back on the lav mic now because it's downhill from here. So basically we're going to go back along that initial route we came. So we've come full circle now, and we're going to find a staircase, which is going to be groovy. Okay, it's very interesting actually. I have to say that I watched that footage back, and I'm sure many of you will agree that it's somewhat, you know, it's pretty, but it's not the overwhelming spectacle I promised. And it's fascinating, even that massive operatic review of the Salisbury Crags is literally about 5% of the impact of actually witnessing for it yourself. And there's two things I draw from that. One kind of negative, and one, I think, for us, very positive. And that is that I'm just going to interrupt myself actually. So basically bench, and then basically there's a little staircase down here which leads to somewhere magical. So basically two things that were quite profound from watching back. I have to say I didn't watch the whole of my walk, but watching back the kind of key moments from the walk and being totally underwhelmed is, I do think, viewing life through a lens is underwhelming. That anything recorded with a lens doesn't match up to the real thing, you know. We are built to wander, to walk, to hunt and to gather, which is why the dopamine kind of euphoria you feel after a walk like that is just profound. And it's one of our 3 or 4 primary functions. There's a reason why it feels good to have sex. There's a reason why it's great to have a pee or a poo. And there's a reason why it's nice to fall asleep at the end of the night. It's your body encouraging you to do it. So getting out and performing one of your primary functions, I think, is profoundly important. And I wish I'd not come to this kind of realization so late. The other point, though, really is for us film and TV composers, and that is because footage is underwhelming compared to real life. There is a purpose to our job, and that is to create that sense of wonderment, that massive euphoric moment, that what am I thinking of? That kind of dopamine hit. I'm going to pause for a moment here because I'm going to get laughed at by these people. That's right, no incriminating evidence, you're right. I think vlogging is like the early days of people using mobile phones. People really do think it's absurd. Anyway, so I think what's kind of, you know, profound for me about today and the kind of anti-YouTube vlog and me striving to get as many thumbs down and as little views as possible is good news, and that is that provided people are recording things on camera, they will always need music to give and manipulate the audience, the viewer, into experiencing it as if they were in real life, with all of the joy, true joy, that brings. So that's my positive note. Okay, so a bit of local knowledge over here. That is Duddingston Loch, which I mixed up earlier with Dunsapie Loch, where the famous skating minister, Scottish painting was depicted. And whereas I say they codified curling, or the joys of a truly nerdy sport, and well worth visiting for Dr. Neil's garden. Now, down by the loch, you've seen a few kind of episodes. There's a kind of rock that I sit on occasionally. It's there, and there's a great mist in the morning, but you do get these spectacular sunsets. But there's no chance of that now because the sun isn't due to set for another at least, oh, I don't know, it's 5:30 now, at least 5.5, 6 hours. Is that right? Something like that anyway. So, making our way down, this is when I laughed about us considering getting a Stairmaster, because there's something like 300 steps. Oscar, leave alone. Oscar, leave alone. Oscar, stop it. Stop it. Oi. Okay. Leave. Oi, come here. There you go. A bit of local knowledge. Oscar, no. Come here. Come here. Good boy. Oscar, come here. Good boy. Don't want Oscar to be Daddy Oscar. Not quite yet. I'll let you go. So, yeah, definitely don't need a Stairmaster if you live within a few miles of this place. So as I was saying, Duddingston's Loch, great for some views, but that is not why we're coming down this little secret route that is taking me in totally the opposite direction of where I actually live. So we're just going to get to this little alleyway here, and we're basically leaving Holyrood Park and we're going into the picturesque Duddingston village. So that's the way down to the loch there, and then there's this wonderful alleyway up here. Just need to get Oscar on a lead. He's going to a road. Oscar, stop. Good boy. This is so difficult to do with one hand. Please don't eat my aerial. Right. I think this is an old wool trading town. I imagine this was not just a picturesque alleyway for walking down, it was actually for funneling sheep, I imagine, back in the day. So, the reason why we're walking up here is just think about what we do in the evenings. Into Duddingston village. To a wonderful little hostelry called the Sheephead Inn. You may have seen me go into it when I was Rodney the Dinosaur. Now this is established in the 14th century, 1350s I believe. Bonnie Prince Charlie has drunk here, and so has Queen Elizabeth II, very recently actually. And in we go for our evening constitutional. The good thing about this new lav mic is I can be a bit secretive in public places. So, you know, what I said about, you know, shagging and pooing and weeing and sleeping and walking, I also feel the same way about this, particularly after a wonderful walk like the one we've just had. If you're ever in Edinburgh, I do recommend taking it, escaping from the Edinburgh Festival to do that. And just encourage you every step to try and get yourself away from that computer. I have yet to meet any composer who's gone, yeah, no, it's 6 months and yeah, just got into it and then was hugely successful in 6 months. You have to be in it for the long haul, and therefore you have to prepare for it like you would for long distance running. You know, it's not about jacking up on some Red Bull and, you know, hitting the 100 meters mark as quickly as you can. It's about being in it for the long haul, so it's important that you stay around for as long as humanly possible. Anyway, all the best to you all, and happy summer solstice. It gets darker from here.